large part of the country, is experiencing economic hardship because of the coronavirus. So today, Howard County Executive Calvin Ball announced a hiring freeze for the county as officials prepare for a budget deficit caused by COVID-19 spending. And he signed an executive order that clarifies guidance for operations and services for residents. And the executive also says that he submitted his budget proposal to the county council last week.
The impact, response, and recovery from coronavirus is going to affect everyone financially, including the Howard County government. We're already taking action to help weather this outbreak, both in the current and upcoming fiscal years.
And Ball also announced another death in Howard County, a resident, a woman in her 80s. So far, the county has 274 confirmed cases and 3 people dead.
Former Mayor Catherine Pugh is asking for more time to report to prison. Her lawyers are asking a federal judge to give her until June 1st. She was assigned to serve her prison sentence in Alabama, which her lawyers argue is too far from her home and violates the First Step Act. They're also citing the COVID-19 outbreak and Maryland's stay-at-home order, causing her cases to be rescheduled to May 14th. He was sentenced to 3 years in prison for crimes related to the Healthy Holly book scandal.
Well, it was an early wake-up call for many this morning as showers and thunderstorms rolled through the area. We have calmed things down quite a bit across the region, but still noticing a few hit-or-miss showers in and around the White Marsh area, back up across portions of Cockeysville and Towson. Little strip of showers up there right around Essex and then working back into the eastern shores. We zoom on in Towson over to Mays Chapel just south of Cockeysville. Lutherville, Timonium getting one of those little showers, and another shower just pushing basically east of White Marsh Estates out towards portions of Martin State Airport and then back over to the open waters of the Chesapeake Bay. All in all, that's really about it. It has been a decent day. You can actually see some of those puffy cumulus clouds in the background. Temperatures not bad, 75 degrees. West-southwesterly breeze is responsible for that at 14, gusting upwards of 30 at times, bringing in that warmer air. 77 at the Inner Harbor, 77 in Bel Air, 77 also in Chestertown, 75 with our friends down there in Annapolis. Winds still gusting 15 to 25 miles per hour. Those will be picking up for sure as we get towards your Thursday and Friday with gusts over 40 miles per hour. This evening, partly cloudy to mostly cloudy skies with a passing shower or two. More chances for severe weather, though, in the forecast for your Thursday morning. We'll talk about that in just a few minutes.
And we'll talk about this right now. You are doing an incredible job, and we're seeing this from here all across the country, people stepping up to help others.
That's right, what some local businesses are doing to help make a difference.
Plus, there are a lot to do yourself. You do-it-yourself kits are out there. How to make masks, right? But is this homemade mask going to protect you as much as a surgical one would? You're watching WMAR 2 News, the station that's working for you.
You know, we're seeing so many businesses in the food and beverage industry stepping up the plate to help their neighbors trying to stay afloat.
Yeah, and WMAR 2 News Mega Night has a look at what some local places are doing to make a difference.
Well, healthcare workers are working around the clock to care for this influx of coronavirus patients, which is why restaurants like the Corner Pantry are doing their part to make sure that these hospital heroes are being fed. The Corner Pantry is partnering with the Josie King Foundation to start weekly lunch deliveries to Johns Hopkins, GBMC, and St. Joseph hospitals. With each $10 donation you make, your name will be handwritten on a bag given to a healthcare worker. The Atlas Restaurant Group is hosting another hospitality industry support event on Thursday. They're going to be handing out groceries at Izumi in Harbor East to people who work in the hospitality industry and have been impacted by the state-mandated closures. The list is growing longer of distilleries in Maryland that are making hand sanitizer instead of liquor. A shout out to Baltimore area distillers Sagamore Spirit, Lost Ark, Miscellaneous, Patapsco, Lupton Farms, and Baltimore Spirits Company. There are also a few wineries and breweries helping out in the mission to get hand sanitizer for healthcare workers and first responders. And Jimmy's Famous Seafood is planning a virtual benefit concert for this Saturday. Local musicians will be playing remotely. Jimmy's will be raising money for meals to give to hospital workers, as well as the Brigance Brigade Foundation, which helps people living with ALS. To find out how you can help these businesses, just go to our website, WMAR2news.com, and click on the Stronger Together link. I'm Megan Knight, WMAR2 News.
All right, Megan. Hey, we love seeing your positive posts and stories, so please keep them coming. Find us on social media or contact us by emailing us story ideas at WMAR.com.
And now from WMAR2 News, Maryland's most accurate forecast.
Well, it was a very busy overnight period for severe weather all across much of central Maryland, especially in and around the district and back across portions of Hartford County this morning. Had a few hail reports up that way, also numerous wind reports back into the mountains where the winds did gust 60 to 70 miles per hour across portions of Allegheny as well as Garrett County. Speaking of some of that hail, a lot of the storms up and down the eastern seaboard down into the southeast producing this, and this is about quarter-size hail from Renee Watson up in Forest Hill, Maryland, across northern portions of Hartford County, seeing some of that. And we have the dark clouds outside right now. Yes, there are a few renegade showers behind us, although it's been quite a great day out there as the birds fly by. You can see a couple of little showers in and around portions of Baltimore County, working through the White Marsh area and then now crossing over to the bay into portions of Kent County, northern portions of Queen Anne's County. Heads up Chestertown, you may get a little wet here very shortly if this can hold together, and even just south of Betterton there, looking at a few of those showers. Widespread view, everybody else predominantly dry, but we'll still be on the lookout for a few more of these before the evening is out as a result of some of the daytime heating and some leftover boundaries this morning from the earlier shower and thunderstorm activity. Winds on the gusty side of things, 15 to 25 miles per hour. That will be a thing of the past, though, as we get into your Thursday and Friday, much higher on the gust for the end of the work week, dragging in some of that colder air and erasing this. Temperatures right around 80 in most locations. It actually feels pretty good. 80 in Richmond, 83 in Raleigh, down to 68 now in Roanoke as severe weather starts to move their way. It's all associated with that frontal boundary that came through last night. There's the severe thunderstorm watches and numerous warnings today across southern portions of West Virginia, as well as the interior sections of southern Virginia and northern portions of North Carolina. Behind that, there's another zone of severe weather that's developing here down across portions of the Nashville area into portions of Alabama and Mississippi overnight tonight. That's where the bullseye is in orange, enhanced risk for severe weather, but eventually that shifts to the east, and we will be dealing with this again as we get towards early tomorrow morning as the front sweeps on through. So wind and hail once again the primary threats between 4 and 9 a.m. on Thursday morning. Those winds could gust over 50 miles per hour and small hail may be likely. So as we work through time, any of those showers that you see outside right now, they start to disappear. Here comes the next round of shower and thunderstorm activity working into the mountains. At first, the mountains will take some of the intensity out of this as we go through early tomorrow morning by 5, 6 o'clock, still looking at those showers and storms, and then most of that will wrap up. A couple little renegade showers for the afternoon. Then the snow kicks in the mountains behind all of this, and they'll be seeing those snow showers right on through Friday while we're looking at sunshine and very windy conditions here for the end of the work week. Speaking of that wind, there's your wind gusts upwards of 25 to 30 miles per hour, gusting to 40 at times, not only for your Thursday, but also during the day on Friday, and then the winds will subside just in time for the weekend. But that's when temperatures will start to take a dive. 50 degrees on Friday, 57 on Saturday, Easter Sunday. Right now, first half is dry, second half pretty wet with temperatures back in the 60s, and then we're into the 70s with more showers and thunderstorms as we get towards the beginning of next week, and then down we go again as we get towards the middle of next week with highs back in the 50s. We'll have more news coming up after the break.
Well, President Trump made the announcement earlier today saying that the mask can be made using ordinary fabric that you may already have at home.
All right, let's find out. Aaron Cox shows you some of the ways that you can make your own mask and whether they are likely to be effective.
I'm going to want to go ahead and add an extra 1/4 of an inch.
This video, created by Joann's, has a downloadable pattern to go with it. Supplies include at least 12 by 9 100% cotton fabric, a 1/4 inch of elastic or 4 fabric strips, hand sew or sewing machine, and a filter.
Lots of people may have bandanas or even a cloth napkin at home.
Other videos show people using hair bands for elastic bands and different materials for the filters if you want one.
Is it perfect? Does it block even the smallest particles? No. But I think in such a serious epidemic, thinking about using things that may not be imperfect but have something to offer is probably a very reasonable idea.
A research study conducted at Cambridge took 21 volunteers between the age of 20 and 44 years old. Volunteers made their own homemade face masks using 100% cotton t-shirt fabric and then were provided a surgical face mask. The volunteers were sampled wearing their homemade mask, then their surgical mask, and then no mask. They were tested coughing to see what made it through the masks. They also had aerosol droplets sprayed to see how large or small of a particle could get through the masks. The results showed both the homemade mask and surgical mask prevented droplets and particles getting out while coughing. But for particles coming in, surgical masks were at least 50% better than the homemade masks.
So I don't think one should stop observing a safe distance of 6 feet. And I don't think one should stop observing the caution to remain away from others unless absolutely necessary.
You're watching the station that's working for you. Now, WMAR2 News at 5.
All right, we are expecting a briefing from the White House any moment. We'll bring it to you live right here on WMAR2 News.
And we want to thank you for watching us here at 5:30 with Kelly Swoop. I'm Jamie Costello. Most of us have been ordering a meal out to help our restaurants, so why not order food for those who are literally risking their lives, our emergency response providers?
Yeah, you help out the restaurant, the first responder knows someone cares, and you feel good too. WMAR2 News' Don Harrison has more tonight.
St. Michael's is a gem on the Eastern Shore. Today, it's more like a diamond in the rough. No tourists, no shopping and dining. All of us are staying in, but first responders don't have that luxury.
We needed to feed children that needed to be fed.
Clay Stamp is the director for Talbot County Emergency Service. In times of need, emergency services lend a hand to each other.
We know that we always will back each other up. You always have help coming in from the federal government, state government, or each other.
But everyone in other departments are consumed with their own battles of this virus, so they have to take care of themselves.
But right now, it's a little quiet.
Chris Agarabi is the owner of Ava's Pizzeria and Wine Bar in St. Michael's. He has 90 people employed at his 4 restaurants. Now only 20 are working.
In restaurant people, it's in their DNA to manage a crisis or get involved with a crisis.
He has had more people ordering carryout because people are stuck at home. He thought, what about people who can't be home? They need to eat. He came up with the idea that his customers can order food for first responders. They are risking their lives for us, so why not feed them?
And so that generosity back and forth is not only helping the business community, it's also helping the people that are at home wanting to do something to help, and it sends a message to our first responders.
Stamp tells me that first responders understand the risks they signed up for, but they're concerned about their family as well.
They don't question their job, and they're the first ones to do it. But their Achilles heel is their families, right? You know, they want to bring something home to their families.
So while they are taking care of us and worrying about their own families, we got your back and your stomach.
It sends a clear message that our community cares.
In Talbot County, Don Harrison, WMAR2 News.
Well, Maryland is getting more than $15 million to support community health centers in response to the coronavirus. The Maryland congressional delegation made the announcement today. Funding comes through the Department of Health and Human Services Health Resources Administration. It's going to help health providers provide affordable health care services to patients. And we have a full breakdown of the funding on our website at WMAR2news.com. Well, are you tired of staying at home and being inside all the time? Baltimore City Parks and Recs has a boredom buster for you. It is an online virtual rec center. Baltimore courts and playgrounds remain closed, but officials with the city's Recreation and Parks Department believe the virtual rec center could entertain families who are anxious to get back outside and do things with their kids. And the website's already up and running.
On this site, people will see information such as things as gardening tips, STEM activities, outdoor fitness opportunities where you can actually have workouts in your backyard.
Again, Baltimore playgrounds and tennis and basketball courts are closed, but city parks are still open. People are asked to maintain social distancing even if you're out at the park. Get you outside if the weather's been beautiful.
Yeah.
You know, a U.S. intelligence report now coming to light is raising some new questions about the Trump administration's response to the coronavirus outbreak.
Yeah, sources told ABC News that the National Committee on Medical Intelligence was aware as early as November as COVID-19's uncontrolled spread in China. Now, their analysis also found Chinese leaders knew the outbreak was out of control, but decided to hide that information from foreign governments and health agencies. And the report was vetted by intelligence, military, and White House officials more than a month before appearing in the president's daily brief, and that was in early January.
I'm not surprised at all that the intelligence community picked up the warning signs. What is surprising and what is disappointing is that our leadership did not take steps more quickly to pull together a cohesive, government-wide plan to address the emerging crisis.
Now, the White House has declined to comment on the report. The president, in a press conference yesterday, shifted blame to the World Health Organization, accusing it of poorly handling the COVID-19 response, questioning if it was time to freeze its funding. And I guess he'll be asked that question again today when he goes to the podium at the White House. And despite COVID-19 testing capacities are ramping up, some people presumed positive they don't know if that's for certain. That's because kits are limited and the CDC guidelines are strict for testing. So that means people are presumed positive with actually knowing or being counted. Asher Karasi spoke to a man considered an unofficial coronavirus patient who says he can't get a test.
Unfortunately, about a week ago, I developed an upper respiratory tract infection, which introduced pneumonia to my systems.
Michael Dolan, a healthy 39-year-old who hadn't recently traveled from a hotspot, started feeling sick around March 17th. A fever of 103, along with severe symptoms associated with coronavirus, landed him in an outdoor triage tent filled with other patients.
I was rejected for a test, but I was positive and symptomatic by my physician's diagnosis, which put me in this kind of limbo gray area where I've existed now for the last 3 weeks.
So you were presumed positive?
Presumed positive upon immediate inspection.
But he can't get a test because he's not considered a priority. According to CDC guidelines, top priority for testing goes to hospitalized patients and symptomatic healthcare workers, then to symptomatic patients 65 years and older, those with underlying conditions, and first responders.
So by CDC guidelines, I am still not a data point.
Testing remains spotty and inconsistent due to a patchwork of protocols from state and local decision makers. More than 17,000 tests are pending as both demand and the backlog of testing samples continues to grow.
We were late to the 8 ball on testing, and that's caused challenges for us now. I think we could have gotten ahead of this a bit and had more data to make certain decisions and project.
So far, health experts say official counts have failed to reflect the actual number of people infected or dying from the virus.
And that sense of dread of not knowing what you are for sure, what's really happening inside of you, is frustrating and scary.
It's something the WHO warned weeks ago was imperative.
We have a simple message for all countries: test, test, test.
And according to government data, the U.S. still lags behind the UAE, Italy, Germany, South Korea, Canada, and Spain in COVID-19 testing per capita. Weeks after you were presumed positive, you still haven't been tested.
No, I've been denied a COVID-19 test 4 times over the last 21 days.
For now, Dolan, like countless others, remains in quarantine, likely infected but uncounted. And because nobody is tracking presumed positive cases, it's unclear how many people like Dolan are out there. That means the actual infection count remains unknown. Reporting from Chicago, I'm Usher Qureshi.
That is scary.
Walgreens is now working with government agencies to add a drive-through through coronavirus testing locations, and the company says it is now going to be adding 15 drive-throughs using a new rapid coronavirus test that can yield results in under 15 minutes. The FDA approved the test under an emergency authorization last month. Walgreens says the sites will be in areas with escalating rates of COVID-19 and should be open this week. Walmart and CVS also plan to open more testing locations.
Well, Bernie Sanders ends his presidential campaign. The Vermont senator made the announcement in a call with his campaign staff today. The move actually clears Joe Biden's path to the Democratic nomination and a showdown with President Trump in the general election coming up in November. The Democratic contest ends now as the nation continues to grapple with the coronavirus pandemic. The health crisis halted in-person campaigning for Sanders and Biden and prompted many states to delay their primary elections. Well, it came in the middle of the night. It was a fierce thunderstorm packing plenty of punch in Carroll County.
Well, let's go out there right now to WMAR 2 News' Jeff Hager, who surveyed the damage today.
People here just off Route 97 in Carroll County say the storm came and went in just a matter of minutes, leaving behind a path of destruction. Manning chainsaws to cut away large swaths of downed trees. Workers cleared the lanes of Route 97, but the cleanup will take more time on nearby Monument Drive in Sykesville. Michelle Bierns awoke during the storm about 4 o'clock in the morning.
There was huge hail that I've never heard that bad before, and the wind was just whipping around all sides of the house. I mean, it was crazy. It wasn't directional. It was just everywhere, and it was louder than anything I've ever heard here before.
Surveying the storm's path over a mile span to Clee Mill Road, we found some trees downed and others splintered, much like the damage Bierns awakened to hours after the storm had passed.
I woke up and the first thing, of course, I saw was a big tree in my front lawn, and then another tree and more debris, and then I looked across and I saw my neighbor's trees, and I was just like, oh my gosh, it was much worse than I thought.
Crews also worked to clear trees and down power lines from an earlier cell which struck along Old Court Road in Woodstock across the Baltimore County line.
It must have been very brief. I heard some rumbling, and the dogs then started rumbling the thunder, basically. It was not that close either. The thunder was not that close. So we had a very local burst of wind here. I don't know why.
But that damage paled in comparison to what would come later in Sykesville, leaving many people convinced they had survived a tornado. Reporting in Carroll County, Jeff Hager, WMAR 2 News.
And luckily for us, radar has calmed down quite a bit from where we were this morning. That line of showers and thunderstorms that ran through the area is now down into southern portions of Virginia and West Virginia. You can see it's very active down there with a lot of yellow watch boxes and also some warnings popping up along that line. Wind gusts across the mountains earlier this morning upwards of 60 to even 70 miles per hour, creating some of that tree damage that you saw out there in Jeff's report out in Carroll County. Wednesday, right now, we're seeing those showers still rolling through portions of eastern Baltimore County as well as northern portions of Kent County, north of Chestertown right now out towards Millington and Kennedyville, looking at a few light showers. These are some old outflow boundaries that are in place from the showers and storms this morning, and also some of that daytime heating. Temperatures made their way close to 80 degrees. In many neighborhoods, it actually feels pretty good out there as the humidity has dropped somewhat. Partly cloudy skies with a stray shower or two this evening, otherwise mostly clear for a period of time, and then we'll bring back the cloud cover and a chance at more showers and thunderstorms. As we start out your Thursday, we'll talk about that and a major cool down going into the Easter holiday weekend coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, thanks, Eric. You know, we're all going through a tough time, and that's especially true for our local businesses. A lot of them are struggling to stay afloat right now due to the coronavirus pandemic, and you can support and help them. We're letting you know we're open, Baltimore. One of those businesses is Lib's Grill. They're right in Peary Hall, one of my favorite spots. They are offering delicious steak and seafood for takeout or curbside delivery from noon until 8.
You can close. You can kind of just wait out the storm and see kind of what's going to happen. Or you could kind of take a different approach and, as we like to say, turn lemons into lemonade and just really kind of rebrand the concept and turn it into really a curbside carry-out dining experience.
Libs is also offering a $60 family package for Easter that includes ham, green beans, potatoes, and more. And this is only one business that needs our help. Go to WMAR2news.com/open. There you'll find a list of establishments that are opening and offering a number of services. That sounds like where my Easter dinner's coming from.
There you go. All right. They'll show up with a tuxedo on. It's beautiful. All right, the coronavirus pandemic, how's that working from home going? Oh man, some of you are doing a great job, but some can't do it.
Like the Orioles, the team was supposed to be playing today. After the break, we're catching up with one player to see what he's been up to.
Plus, we talked to a dietitian to get some advice on how to store your fruits and vegetables so they last a little longer, because we need to. That story is coming up.
And a few light showers across the area this afternoon. Dark clouds over our studios here in Rogers Forge. But what can we expect for the Easter holiday weekend? A major cool down coming. We'll have the details after the break.
Would have been a good day for a ball game, huh?
Ah, don't even see. You're right. Beautiful.
Our Orioles were supposed to play today, an afternoon game in New York against the Yankees. Of course, that didn't happen because of the pandemic.
So just what are our Orioles up to these days? WMAR 2 News' Sean Stepner caught up with one today.
Renato Nunez just celebrated his 26th birthday on Saturday.
Like 3 friends, they came here to my apartment. It wasn't more than 10.
It was a birthday like he's never had before, because usually in early April, the Orioles' designated hitter is doing this.
By this time, we always playing baseball. It's really different, of course. But I'm like crushing videos. Like I'm watching video all day. Even my girlfriend gets mad.
Nunez speaking to me from his home in South Florida. He lives there with his girlfriend. When he's not critiquing video of his 2019 season, he says he tries to work out creatively.
I'm kind of in a small apartment here in Miami, and I gotta move like everything, all the furniture and everything. I gotta move it, and you know, just to put my bands, and maybe got a little space to do some skippings, some shuffle or something. You know, trying to stay active.
Nothing can replace the real thing.
Of course, we wanna be playing. We miss it a lot.
He adds this break is really the safest thing for all involved and wanted to show some appreciation to all the essential healthcare personnel.
To all those people, you know, who are over there, like literally risking their life. We really gotta say thank you to those people.
And when the season does hopefully begin, Nunez hopes to build on his career-best 2019 campaign when he posted 31 home runs and 90 RBI in 151 games. You must have been really excited to start 2020.
Yeah, I was. I am. I mean, hopefully we gotta go.
All right, we're going to take you to Washington now. The president is about to speak.
Thank you. This is a holy week when religious believers across the nation will observe Passover, Good Friday, and Easter. Millions of Jewish families begin Passover at sundown tonight, a sacred, unbroken tradition that traces back to the ancient land of Egypt. And on Sunday, we celebrate our beautiful, wonderful Easter, which we all look forward to. And we're going to have many Easters together in churches in the future. We're getting closer. You see the numbers. We're getting much closer to getting our country back to the way it was. We have now an extra 2 countries that have been attacked, 184. They're being attacked as we speak, but we'll all win. At some point, we're going to all win. We're going to do it sooner than people think. Earlier today, I spoke with 10,000 of America's faith leaders to thank them for raising the spirits of our people during these very difficult days. While we may be physically apart, we can use this time to pray, to reflect, and to focus on our personal relationship with God. I also spoke with more than 3,000 mayors, county commissioners, and state and tribal leaders to provide an update on our administration's ongoing drive to beat the virus, to crush the virus, and that's happening. It's happening, I think, if you look a little bit more quickly than people thought, maybe a lot more quickly, I hope. And it's something that all over the world we're watching, but people are watching us and seeing what we're doing, and they're very impressed. We're dealing with many countries right now, many countries, and we're giving them whatever information we're able to glean. I just spoke with the representatives of the UK, and I think that their great prime minister is doing much better today, or at least better. But certainly he's had a tough bout, and he's still going through a tough time, but he seems to be doing better, and that's good. And we send our regards to Boris and his family and his friends, all of the people that really love him. He's become a very popular, before this happened, became a very popular prime minister. He's doing an excellent job. He loves
their country. He loves our country. So we appreciate everything he's done, and hopefully he's going to be okay. Speaking of great people and people that have done a fantastic job, I have Secretary of State Mike Pompeo with us, and I'd like to ask Mike to say a few words, and then I think what we'll do, in order to get him back to the State Department, we'll take some questions, and we'll then go on with the rest of what I'm going to say. Then we'll take some questions after that, and then Vice President Pence will take over. So, Mike Pompeo, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Under the President's leadership, my team and I at the State Department are doing our part to protect the American people from the virus, and importantly, to get them home. As you know, when many countries shut down their rail lines, their buses, their infrastructure systems, their capacity to get out of those countries, they were trapped, they were stranded. The State Department swung into action. Since January 29th, we have now repatriated over 50,000 United States citizens back to their homes. From more than 90 countries, more than 490 flights back to the United States from all across the world. This worldwide scale of our repatriation efforts is without parallel in our lifetime. We are coordinating with foreign governments, militaries, airport authorities, medical units, transportation companies, hotels, you name it. We're working with them to make sure the American people get back to be with their families. You can see behind me the map of the flights that we have brought back people from all across the world. Every day I get a chance to hear some of the remarkable stories from our team. Let me give you just a couple of examples. Our mission in Peru, working with the Peruvian military and police forces to send riverboats up the river to get citizens that were stranded deep inside the Amazon forest. Our mission in Nepal, made sure that a woman who was running low on medication could get what she needed at a pharmacy before boarding an evacuation flight that brought her back here. In Honduras, after the government imposed very strict 24/7 curfew and closed airports, our embassy sprang into action for stranded Americans, thousands of them. A 3-year-old boy told one of our consular officers just before he boarded the flight, "Thank you for helping me get back home to my dad." Pretty neat. We've received similar messages from lots of people. They're proud to know that their country will not leave them stranded, and we're going to get them back home. One woman wrote, quote, "I was in tears when I received the email approving our flight back to the United States. God bless the United States of America." And another said, "I felt like I had allies there that actually treated me like a person or a family member, not just a number." The Repatriation Task Force, State Department, our consular officers have done great work. I want to thank our partners in the Department of Defense who have helped with some of these flights back home, and other government agencies, our sisters and brothers across the United States government and this administration that have helped get these people back. And then lastly, aside from our repatriation efforts, we continue to help countries around the world as well. We've got CDC officials helping these countries with expertise and all the things that these countries need to get their citizens safe and healthy and back so that we can get the economy all across the world, the global economy, back on its feet when this crisis is over. Thank you, Mr. President.
Good, thanks, Mike. Maybe you stick for a little while.
Sure.
We'll see if anybody has any questions for Secretary of State. Anybody, please?
Sure. Mr. Secretary, that's an amazing effort that you have made. How do you know when you're done? Because I imagine there are Americans on all corners of the world, and someone's going to pop up and say, "I want to go home now."
It's
when
a great,
do you give the old call that
so
it's over?
it's a great question. We still have several thousand people that we're working. They identify themselves every day. New people find themselves in a difficult place. Look, we're going to be done when people can travel on their own again. These people traveled abroad on vacations or with their church, and we're intending to get back on their own. We hope that day comes pretty soon where they don't have to rely on the State Department to get them back home. But know this, in the meantime, we're devoting all the resources we have to get them there, often in difficult places. They're not in the capital near the airport, or the roads are closed. And so it's not just a matter of getting a flight down there. There's a lot of work that has to be done to coordinate, to make it all happen and get those people available so they're sitting there when the flight lands, they can get on the plane, and then we can get them back home. We still have several thousand. We're working on it. We chip away at that number every day. But new citizens go to the State Department website, identify themselves, and say, "I need a little bit of help in some way," and we do our best to get that to them just as quickly as we can.
You'll keep it up indefinitely.
We're going to keep it up as long as we have resources to do it, and there is a need. Yes, sir.
Mr. Secretary, how many of these staffers have tested positive for coronavirus? Have they been tested, or are they going into quarantine? And what does this do to diplomatic efforts overseas if you're pulling 50,000 people out of national capitals, nation capitals all over the world?
So the vast majority of these 50,000 weren't our officers. These were ordinary citizens who were there traveling for business or for commercial or for their trip of a lifetime. We've seen some of that in the cruise ships, but of course they're stranded all over the world. So our embassies, save for the one that is in Wuhan, which we did pull everybody out of, the rest of our facilities around the world are all open. We've had a handful of our folks now test positive. But we feel like we have a good handle on it, and we're doing everything we can to make sure that not just the State Department officials, but our Department of Defense colleagues that are working on these missions as well are doing so in a way that reduces risk to them and their well-being also. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Do you feel like China withheld critical information from the United States, and will there be any consequences for that?
You know, this is not the time for retribution, but it is still the time for clarity and transparency. We're still working on this problem set. There's still data that these good people need so that they can perform their analysis of how to both develop therapeutics and a vaccine and to understand where this virus is. So every country, China included, every country needs to be transparent about what's gone on in their country. They need to share that data. We share ours with the world so that the best scientists in the world can get to the right conclusions and bring this economy, this global economy, back to the place that we all want it to be as quickly as we can. Every country has that responsibility. It started in China, and so they had that special responsibility to get it right quickly and fast. Ask every country as we move forward in the days and weeks ahead, make sure we share that. Do it right, do it well. When we do, we'll get this thing back going.
Early on, should they have shared their data sooner with the United States?
Every country has an obligation to share that information accurately, timely, completely, transparently, and thoroughly, just as quickly as they can gather it. We'll leave for another time to evaluate how everyone did in that.
Go ahead. Thank you, President Trump. And Secretary, I have a question. The World Health Organization has a fundraising drive for about $700 million for coronavirus resources. China has only donated $20 million.